The complaints about water keep increasing. There are two levels of this in some specific regions, like the eastern region and the central region. Yeah. And even in the Ahafo region, we've had complaints about water. For example, there's a story on GNA dated October 6, 2025. Abodom cocoa farmers urge government to tackle illegal mining. Cocoa farmers at Trifo Abodom in Trifo Atimokwa, this is central region by the way, are appealing to the government to urgently intervene to stop illegal mining activities along River Osini. The farmers explained that their main source of drinking water was that river, which was also used for farming, washing, and other domestic activities. They cautioned that if immediate actions were not taken, the continued contamination of their only source of water with heavy metals would affect the health of the people. Elvis Intikrang, Assembly member for Trifo Abodom, Edueja electoral area, said together with 3 other assembly members, steps had been taken to minimize such operations. He urged committee members to report illegal mining activities to the assembly members, the police, or the district chief executive, rather than taking the law into their own hands. Mr. Isaac Yosin, the DC for Trifo Atimokwa, said he had received reports on illegal mining but traced their polluted water source to Wasa East. He said, though through collaboration with Wasa East DCE, steps had been taken to stop the illegal miners. Mr. Yosin called on the traditional leaders to support government's efforts in the fight against the miners, stressing that community cooperation was crucial in winning the battle against Galamsey. Story edited by Alice Tete, Lydia Kukua Asamoah for GNA. I'll come back to this shortly.
Let me add to that story for you. If you go to the regional coverage on page 23 of the Daily Graphic, Mori pupils call for urgent action against Galamsey. And these are students from Mori in the central region, the learners from the Mori Catholic Basic AB and Junior High School, and the Mori DA Basic and GHS, and the Mori Methodist A Basic, revealed that for over 3 months they have had to struggle for access to clean water, which is negatively impacting their education. A quote attributed to some of the students says that, quote, "We are late for school because we must fetch water from other communities first. Those destroying our water sources do not think about us and our future."
This is Central Region as well.
This is Central Region.
Then yesterday during the City Breakfast Show, a listener sent us a message on the lack of water in his community, and I think we read it as part of the discussion on the issue of water, and I'm just going to push that through as well to make the point around the seriousness of the water challenge facing us as a result of Galamsey.
I think the message you are looking for says, "Good morning, Bernard. Those of us in Agona Swedru are really suffering. For almost 3 months now, not even a drop of water from our taps. Think about the schools, hospitals, places of convenience, butchery, etc. It's not easy at all."
I'm going to read 3 more stories before we do an interview. So, Godfred, you read one story. So, I read a story from Trifo Atimokwa, and you read one from a different place. Now, Tanon North, William now reports on City Newsroom, actually ChannelOne as well. Tanon North farmers decry destruction of River BC. Now, you notice, in the initial phase of Galamsey, it was Pra and Cobra and larger rivers. Now, we're reading about smaller rivers. So, I read the GNA story, which mentioned a relatively smaller river. You know, Kweku David did something on the river Ayensu, which is a major river but not as big as the Pra and the Ankobra. Now we have a couple of rivers which are not as big as the known rivers, also bearing the brunt of Galamsey. So let me give you an example of this. If you go to Tanon North, there's a river called River BC. It says some agri farmers and stakeholders in Tanon North of Ahafo have expressed deep concern over the pollution and destruction of the BC River by alleged Chinese illegal miners in the area. They've called on the security agencies to act swiftly to stop the activities of the miners in order to safeguard the environment, farmlands, and water sources. During a visit to the area, the visibly angry farmers warned that if authorities fail to intervene immediately, they'll be compelled to take matters into their own hands and drive the miners away. The GNA observed an excavator, mining tools, and other equipment at an illegal mining site at BC, a farming community. Although the miners were not present during the visit, large portions of farmlands had been cleared, apparently to extend the operations. An interview with GNA, Nana Inchubuesiaku, chief of Krofrom, said the illegal mining activities began on Monday, September 29. He noted that since then, the BC River, a tributary of the River Tano, had turned brownish in color. He explained that the BC River is the main source of water for several communities, including Krofrom, Besi, Mankran, Adroba, Subreso, and Sukumu number 2, all of which depend on it for survival. Nana Boysanku said, quote, polluting and destroying the rivers is more like making us useless, and called for an immediate intervention from security services and government. Nana Kumi Yeboah, the Nifahini of Mankran, one of the worst affected communities, also told the GNA that the illegal miners had caused extensive damage to farmlands and the vegetative cover. Commenting on the issue, Dr. Frida Prempe, MP for Tano North, said, or former MP for Tano North, says, quote, if the turbidity levels of BC and Tano go high, then the local farmers are to suffer a lot. We cannot allow these Chinese miners to destroy our crops, farmlands, forest and vegetative cover, thereby worsening the plight of our poor farmers who largely survive on peasant farming. She urged traditional authorities, assembly members and opinion leaders in the affected communities to do more to ensure safety and environmental protection. Nana Boachi Bonsu, acting president of the council, which is the Dua Yankwanta Traditional Council, told the GNA, we are strongly against illegal mining here and we don't give room for those Galamsey activities. Now, he called on the Tano North Municipal Security Committee, the MUSEC, to investigate the matter and take action against the perpetrators. He said the people have preserved the BC River for generations due to its historical significance and its role in providing potable water to communities. Now here's the other angle. However, the Tano North Municipal Chief Executive, Pius Samson Opoku, refuted claims of illegal mining in the area, arguing that the Chinese miners were operating legally. See what's going on? The Tano North Municipal Chief Executive, Pius Samson Opoku, refuted claims of illegal mining in the area, arguing that the Chinese were operating legally.
How?
He told the media that the two small-scale mining companies, including the Chinese operators, had obtained valid concessions in municipality, insisting that the activities were not polluting or destroying the BC and Tano rivers.
I see.
Classic situation. MCE says the people are mining legally. He may well be right, but look at the number of people who have been interviewed by the GNA. They spoke to 3 sub-chiefs. They spoke to the traditional council. They spoke to a former MP. And the journalists observed an excavator, mining tools and other equipment at an illegal mining site, and large portions of farmlands cleared. He also did say that the water had turned brown. But the MCE for the area is saying that the people are there legally and that they had a valid concession. So it's a classic case. I'm giving another one. You see, I'm trying to...
I just want to know whether there's a direct link. So the machines that were seen on these sites or these farmlands, do they belong to the Chinese company?
Apparently. So you see, the community is linking the browning of the river to the activities of the mining company. Okay. The MC is saying that they are not illegal miners, but they have a valid concession and they are doing mining. The same MC that same week declared a no tolerance for Galamsey campaign. Right? So I'm just reading that story as well. This is still GNA. Mr. Pius Opoku has declared a no tolerance for Galamsey campaign to stem illegal mining in his municipality. He warned that anybody who engages in illegal mining will be prosecuted irrespective of their political background. He said that the Tano River course remain the only source of drinking water in the municipality, saying that we will do everything to protect the river from being polluted. So my concern is that how sure is it that the company doing the mining in that community, because they mentioned 5 communities, BC, Tukubu number 2 and all those, how sure is it that the company's activities are not contributing to the pollution of the river BC?
I think we would have to interrogate him.
Yeah. Then I already read one around a river in the Chifuati Mokwa area. This was just last week. Then there's the NIMOS task force also fighting illegal mining along the Bonsa River. You know, this is my issue. Whether it is, you see, when I interviewed the Water Resources Commission guy, he said any mining in the water body is illegal. Yes. So whether you have a concession or not, yes, he says that from what he knows, anybody who is doing mining close to or inside a water body is doing it illegally. Yes. All right. Now, if you go, for example, to Takrady last month, the NIMOS conducted an operation along the Bonsa River. Now, don't forget that the Bonsa headworks have also been closed. Bonsa is in the western region, and that river provides water for is one part of the western enclave that the Bonsa headworks are. The operation, conducted in collaboration with the Western Regional Security Council and Blue Water Gas, form part of a national strategy to rid forests and water bodies of illegal mining activities. A statement from the Secretariat said the task force destroyed several makeshift structures at various sites, seizing mining equipment and wares left behind by fleeing illegal miners. Here are the equipment seized: 10 water pumping machines, so they're underwater, 4 Chanfang machines, 5 engine seats, and a pump action gun. Godfred, yesterday, it stated that at Monsarure Sika mine, a notorious mining community, the task force found abandoned excavators and detached control boards. The statement, however, noted some challenges, which included the need for accommodation for the task force to enhance their effectiveness and better mobile network coverage in remote areas. They also called for a deliberate national agenda to sensitize and educate indigenous in mining communities about the dangers of Galamsey, leveraging electronic, print, and social media to reverse the trend. The statement said the joint operation achieved its purpose of dismantling illegal mining sites, sending a strong message to perpetrators. No, my problem, guys. So it's almost like we get there after the fact. The people go, they mine in the night, they destroy their property. When we get there, they run away, they've left their guns, they've left their excavators, and they go. So we seize the things that they've left. They go to another place. So it's like we are fighting them, but they are ahead of us. You get it? Number 2, the people are now targeting smaller water bodies. Because all attention is on the Pra, the Ankobra, and the bigger rivers. Now we are hearing of smaller river bodies which are now being encroached upon. Because there's a belief that there's gold in the bed of the river. Okay. So for me, you see, the idea of a state of emergency is what will give the military team the chance to really surgically deal with this matter. Because a lot of what is happening is after the fact. You go, you hear of it. But if you say, look, anybody caught on a water body with any mining equipment is a persona non grata. Do you get it? I don't know whether that requires a state of emergency or not. But you need to be a bit more frontal on this. Almost every story I'm reading now is targeting smaller communities with smaller river bodies. And it's a big problem because these smaller river bodies feed the large rivers. Okay. And now, almost all the places we are hearing from, people are concerned about lack of water. The last one I read was from the Trifo Atimokwa area. Again, the river is called River Osini. It's not a typical river that you will see in a Ghana map. Yeah. But it's definitely a tributary to one of the bigger rivers. This is what tends to happen. Yeah. Okay. So it's for me, for the water situation, there's no excuse for even going there after. You need to go and clear the people. Whether you are going to do, I don't know, you are saying you are in a legal situation, whether a shoot on site or whatever they are going to do, you cannot have people put engine seats, chanfans, and pumping machines in a river and tell me that they have a concession, so they should do what they are doing. They cannot.
Let me before you come in, if I may, there's a story that I posted yesterday. So it came in from the GNA. So it's talking about after the fact. So the water crisis situation. The Vice President has been doing something recently. So this story was published on the 2nd day of October 2025. Water crisis. Vice President donates reservoirs to 5 districts in the central region. So the story is from Potsing and it's by Prince Aqua.
So it'll be Gomwa Potsing.
Yeah. It says the Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Opokwajiman, has presented 10 large water storage tanks to 5 districts in the central region to help alleviate the devastating water crisis that has hit many communities across the region. Now, the tanks were presented to the Gomwa Central, Gomwa West, Gomwa East, Ewutu Senya West, and Agona West assemblies, which are considered the hardest hit by the crisis. Now, for many weeks now, taps in many communities in the central regions have run dry, compelling residents to rely on unsafe water sources, often miles away from home. Now, the situation, induced mainly by illegal mining activities, Galamsey, has muddied water bodies and rendered them nearly impossible to treat by the Ghana Water Company Limited. Now, the situation poses significant health challenges to the affected communities, with many women and children being more vulnerable. Last year, Professor Upoku Ajima constructed 10 boreholes for selected districts in the region when a similar situation emerged, and donation of the tanks furthers their agenda to mitigate the water problem in the community.
So that's another example of after the fact.
Exactly.
The people go and spoil the thing,
Yeah.
and then we are trying to repair from behind.
Yes.
Even though it should be ahead of the people. It's also an admission that the central region problem is well and truly correct. Let me fortify what you read with a last one here. The chiefs in one part of the central region had a meeting recently, and they were basically saying that the Galamsey is making water almost impossible to get in their region. All right, this story, a Futu Traditional Council asked traditional rulers in Galamsey areas to join the fight against the menace. And in ending the story, the traditional rulers say we owe it a duty to ourselves and posterity to protect our forests and water bodies, since government cannot fight the menace alone. He expressed concern about the use of mercury and cyanide by illegal miners in their operations, causing life-threatening health challenges to the many people. He said river bodies and streams were now rendered unfit for drinking. A typical example, according to him, this is a chief, was the river Yensu flowing from Apepim in the eastern region through Agona Kwenyaku to a Futu, which was their source of drinking water. It was for this reason that the water treatment station at Agona Kwenyaku with high turbidity had been shut down, resulting in prolonged water shortage, which was likely to disrupt academic activities at UEW Winneba. The Ghana Water Company is doing all it can to ensure that we get potable and clean water for drinking. And for other things, however, using more chemicals to treat the water will go a large extent to have an effect on us. It goes on and on and on. Let's bring a different angle to the discussion, because a month ago, all the major utility companies met with the PURC and proposed a series of tariff adjustments for the next year, which tariff adjustments they believe will help make their activity sustainable. The Ghana Water Company in particular had asked for about 100 and something % increase because they said they needed more money to treat water. Now, the Ghana Food and Beverage Association is having none of that. They're asking the government to undertake urgent reforms of the two major utilities because their persistent tariff increases are not sustainable. John Awuni is joining us for some quick thoughts on this. Mr. Awuni, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Bernard.
As you can see, I'm pretty concerned about the water situation, and we seem to sympathize with Ghana Water Limited because it's costing them more and more to treat water. They are not the ones doing Galamsey. And it's quite clear that the cost of treating water is going to get higher until something drastic happens with Galamsey. Why are you opposing their request for tariff increment and by extension rather asking for reform of the utility service provider?
Thank you so much, Bernard. Let me put it in perspective. We recognize that the utilities have a problem. We recognize that they need support. We see their power losses about 32% against PURC benchmark of 21%. We see the difficulty they are in terms of finance. They have a low revenue collection rate of average 43% as presented by ASIP last year. We see the poor worker attitude that ECG and those water companies have. For instance, the water company, we have had situations where even when the pipe bursts by the roadside, or you see a pipe that is burst and you call them, they will never come. It will take you weeks. And even when they come and fix it, they expect you to pay them. Same thing for ECG. If you need a meter, until you bribe, that meter will never come. If a transformer is in difficulty in your area and you see that transformer in challenge and you call them, it will take several hours, it will take even days before they come. At the time that they come, when they fix it, they will call you, the one who called them, and ask you will have to pay. If you don't give them money or tip them next time, they wouldn't come. If you see there are so many meters, Bernard, in all over in our neighborhood that are prepaid meters, literally not working. They will not cut off, and people are just using the power for free. Go to the ministries, the MDAs, all over. You find out that they are using power. Sometimes you wonder whether they even think that the power has a cost. So these utilities have a challenge. They are in a team. We have VRA, we have Gridco, we have the NETCO, and we have ECG. ECG is the last leg of them. And we are saying that I see them all as a team in a relay in athletics. If Gridco runs well by producing power, VRA runs well by producing power, and then give the relay to the last runner. If the last runner does not run well, all whatever previous effort they did amounts to nothing. And ECG seems not to be running well. If Gridco produces power and VRA are same and give to ECG and 100% of power they have produced and give to ECG, ECG's distribution losses alone amount to 32%. That is totally unacceptable. In their presentation at PURC, we had Enclave Power, that's a private distribution company, accounting for losses of 3%. As against ECG of 32%. You see,
but is Enclave a power distributor? Enclave is Enclave a power distributor or a power producer?
Enclave is a power distributor, as same as ECG. Enclave does for the bigger companies and all that, and they are just new and they are entering, and they seem to be doing very well.
But that's a commercial arrangement with companies, as against ECG that provides to consumers who are domestic and to government agencies. So if you're comparing two companies, and Enclave again is a very small establishment in comparison to ECG. So would that be fair? Is that a right comparison?
Bernard, I am just looking at the losses, and I'm saying that my point is no business person produces with even the PURC benchmark of 21% losses. You are producing your goods and you are budgeting that you will lose 21% of it. Bernard, ECG is a monopoly. Ghana Water is a monopoly. And no monopoly can keep on making losses. It makes absolute no sense.
All right. What about the water company? I take your point on ECG, but I think the water company's argument has been that the cost of treating polluted water has gone up because of Galamsey, right? They've even closed some headworks. So you cannot say that's their fault. So if they're asking for further increment in tariffs, at least there's a justification for that, is there not?
Bernard, my issue is that the tariff matter is not a new thing. ECG is not asking for any new thing. Water company is not asking for anything new. Over the years, they have always asked for tariff increment. They have always asked for tariff increment. In the John Ajekunku Force His Excellency period, we had tariff increment. In the late Atamil's regime, we had tariff increment. First term of John Mahama, tariff increment. Nanado's government, tariff increment. Again, as we speak now, the John Mahama's government is doing tariff increment. So we are saying that if tariff increment was the solution for the utilities, for water, for ECG in particular, then they would never have had any problem. We are not against fair pricing, economic prices. We are saying that the tariff increment can never be the solution to the poor worker attitude, to the corruption, to the waste, to the general inefficiencies in the utilities. If the John Mahama government sold to Ghanaians a reset agenda, that when they need to reset. Reset means realignment. And part of the reasons why Nanado government lost power was higher utilities and higher tariffs, higher taxes. So if the John Mahama government said they were coming in to do reset, is tariff increment the reset they promised us? We say no. Reset cannot be tariff increment. But if you are doing tariff increment, then you are no different from the Nanado government. We are saying that 9 months into the John Mahama's government, we are seeing nothing happening in the utility sector in terms of reform. And if they are talking about tariff increment has not been the solution. It's the same old Asian story. And that Asian story can never solve a problem. And we are saying that no investor will invest into the utility sector if that sector is not efficient. We are saying that if you have ECG workers riddled with a conflict of interest situation where most of the engineers own companies award meter fixing contracts to themselves, award the transformer fixing contracts to themselves, If you are awarding the contract to yourself, you can imagine how much money you give, you allocate to yourself. You have ECG workers who come in, you need a transformer. They tell you that we don't have transformer at ECG, but we can acquire a transformer and come and fix it for you. And you will pay. We don't have
Mr. Awuni, my premise today is not on ECG, but you keep going back to ECG, which is a bit worrying. My discussion today is focused on water, which is why I've been talking about Galamsey. ECG we can discuss on a different day. I'm saying that water is life. There are a number of headworks. The Bonsa headworks in Western region has been shut. The Kwenyako headworks in Central region has been shut. So the effect of Galamsey on our water is clear for all to see. Now the angle is that the water company needs more resources so it can process our water for us to drink. So you need to separate the water issue from the electricity issue.
I agree.
But you keep going back to ECG.
Bernard, okay, I'm sorry for that, but I agree in principle that the water company needs support. When I look at their per unit cost, the 1,000 liters, they charge about 20 cedis or so per 1,000 liters. I literally agree. When you look at the tankers who go around selling, apparently I buy water for my swimming pool all the time. You have they sell between 80 cedis per the same 1,000 liter the Ghana Water Company is selling for 20 cedis. I think that in principle they may need an adjustment in their tariff for water. I agree in principle, because when you look at how much we buy from the private tractors, tankers, and against what ECG, against what water companies charging, they may in principle need an adjustment. But again, I would say that Ghanaians don't have to pay for the issue of Galamsey, because at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of the government to correct the menace in the Galamsey. And indeed, the John Mahama's government campaign said that they will solve Galamsey within 4 months, and Nanado government had to solve it. One of the reasons why the Nanado government lost power was this issue of Galamsey. They lost it. They lost most of their parliamentary seats all over in those Galamsey mining areas and all that, because they took a drastic stand and all that. At the end of the day, they punished the government and punished the MPs for that. Now, if the John Mahama government got an advantage on that and won power, it behooves on them to be able to fulfill their mandate, because they said they will solve it. In the opposition, John Mahama government and his appointees, now ministers, said they should call for state of emergency. They all call for state of emergency. They all call for all manner of things. John Mahama himself said that this is the responsibility of the government to solve it. It is no private individual. Ghanaians, we are all interested. We all stand at serious risk. The entire country is at risk of being annihilated. We are all at risk of being wiped out. No matter whatever, no, we drink water. We eat the roasted plantain. We take beetroot. We take all kind of vegetables. These are all infected by Galamsey water, and we all are all at risk.
So you do not think the increase in Galamsey justifies a tariff increment for water? Is that and the government should be the one to solve the Galamsey, not people being taxed to pay for it? That's
no,
your point.
People don't have to be taxed to pay to pay for government's inability to solve a problem. A government who won power on largely on the Galamsey campaign that they will solve it and they will do all whatever not. We are saying that His Excellency the President recently talked about the benefits that the country gets from Galamsey, and that if Galamsey, we have 4 million workers, where will they be sent to? Workers in the Galamsey sector, where will they be sent to? We have how much money we are getting from Galamsey at gold from Galamsey activity, and that is literally what is holding the economy currently. The president said that. Did he also tell us those are the benefits? Did he also tell us the cost that the nation suffers from the Galamsey activities? So there are cost benefits. As the government is benefiting from that equally, the government must set some money aside to solve the water issue.
We'll leave it here. Thank you, Mr. Awuni. John Awuni is with the FABAC. He's the president of FABAC. He's not having none of the calls for tariff adjustments. Even for water, he says the president and the government assured that they will deal with Galamsey, so people should not pay the price for polluted water. Even though Ghana Water may have a reason, the government should find the money. Now, the last thing I wanted to bring in was the claim by the EPA boss that there is a way of dechemicalizing water, polluted water. So this was said by Professor Brown-Kluche. I think she was asked a question during the Meet the CSOs where she answered, and it became a further debate. It's not really gone down well, has it, Caleb?
Not at all. There's a publication on citynewsroom.com attributed to the KNUST president of UTAG, and he is saying that dechemicalization debate trivializes fight against Galamsey. Professor Abavari is his name. Eric Abavari is president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and he has taken a swipe at the government's handling of the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, describing recent policy directions as misplaced and superficial. In a strongly worded post on Facebook on Monday, October 6, 2025, Professor Abavari mocked the emergence of what he termed new terminologies such as dechemicalization, which he said trivializes the Galamsey menace. Quote, "Dear Ghanaians, have you heard of the new terminology called dechemicalization? It is funny because the core idea is being shifted to a point of trivialization," he wrote. He argued that while policymakers appear preoccupied with coining and debating technical terms, illegal miners continue to destroy rivers, forests, and farmlands across the country without restraint. Our inability to solve the problem has been shrouded and made unmeaningful by majoring the minor and minoring the major. It is the weak mind which does this because it seeks to avoid being blamed, he stated. Explaining the term, Professor Bavari noted that dechemicalization, when used in the context of water treatment, refers to specialized purification processes that remove man-made chemical pollutants. However, he stressed that the focus on sentiments rather than the real action exposes the government's lack of commitment to restoring Ghana's degraded environment. He further questioned the political will to tackle illegal mining effectively, suggesting that the president lacks the resolve to confront the issue decisively. Quote, "As to whether or not we will succeed in getting our fresh streams and rivers back depends largely on the will of the president, which from where I sit, he does not have." Professor Bavari ended his statement with a poignant reminder of those who lost their lives in the fight against illegal mining, including Major Maxo Mahama and other officials, urging Ghanaians not to forget their sacrifices.
All right, here are some comments on the situation, Kakra.
Yes, Bernard, this person says, "Good morning, guys. What is the use of the chiefs and the MCs in these Galamsey areas if they can't put their foot down and stop these guys from destroying the areas?" Bernard and Co, here's what I don't get about the Galamsey conversation. Should the concern not be about preventing alluvial mining instead of illegal mining? It is the mining in rivers that destroys the water bodies, not the legal status of the activity. So why is the focus always on the legality of the activities? Jojo from Lashibi sent that. Here's another. "Good morning, guys.
Morning.
We must really understand why. We must really understand this Galamsey problem. What is illegal mining? Is it just about not having a permit to mine? The reason everyone is complaining is not because of the permits, whether or not they have the permits. It's about the pollution of our environment. It's a problem of compliance and the regulatory authority concerned not doing its job to make sure miners mine in accordance with the regulations. Who is the regulator? Target them." Another person says, "But Bernard, how exactly will a state of emergency stop determined criminals from staying ahead, mining in the night and running away when you are on your way to them?" Here's another. "Hi Bernard, I grew up in the Takwa enclave and I am an occupational health physician, witnessing first-hand effects of the Galamsey menace on people's health. If the government is serious on fighting Galamsey, all customs heads at Tema and Takoradi ports must be fired. These changfangs are imported through our ports. I witnessed the Chinese offload full footer containers weekly in my neighborhood. Galamsey must be fought at the port and arrest all Changfang traders. It is sold in the open. Dr. TK sent that. Kwame Black in Adenta says, good morning, Bernard and team.
Morning.
When these guys are caught, we give them pure water in custody. How about we feed them the very water they are damaging? Hi, CT Breakfast Show team. I don't understand this. We are seizing and regulating the use of excavators. Why is it okay to manufacture, display, and sell Changfangs in the same country? Changfangs are fabricated and displayed along major roads with impunity. This must be regulated strictly, if not banned, with penalties to fabricators. Macmillan in Ofankor sent that.
Okay. So we are saying that proceeds from small-scale mining sector has exceeded that of the large-scale mining, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
And then we have increased our gold reserves.
Yes, please.
So it means that we are buying more gold from small-scale miners.
Legal and illegal.
Exactly.
And we can't differentiate. I think that's why a lot of people.
Exactly.
I remember when we did the Meet the Press, Kojo Youngson asked a question as to whether the president was sure that 52% of our gold production that comes from small-scale miners, whether he was sure that the gold board could distinguish between gold procured from legal miners and legal miners. I think there's a lot of onus on the gold board to come up with a traceability scheme and a system to disqualify gold which they cannot trace where it's bought from. I think that's one of the things that needs to be addressed very, very seriously in this discussion.
Because the issue is that even if you go that way, what is likely to happen is they will smuggle the gold outside,
Yeah.
So yes, we will call for traceability as they do with the diamond, blood diamonds and all of that.
Yeah.
But then again, I think the bigger issue is seeing a more robust presidential action to deal with.
Stop. So I think there are three issues. Stop the illegality, salvage the land and the water, and then institute a traceability system.
Yeah.
So you can't do one, because when you do one, the others don't work.
Right.
So it's almost like three legs of a tripod. You need to do all three. Professor Chris Gordon is an environmental scientist we've spoken to on many occasions in trying to help understand what's happening with our environment. This week, after the President met civil society organizations, some sort of debate ensued when the Environmental Protection Agency CEO suggested that we will need some amount of money to pilot a nano liquid solution to cleanse poisoned rivers. There was a whole debate about whether the word dechemicalization even exists. What I just want to find out from Prof is, we've all spoken about Galamsey and what to do. We definitely have to stop Galamsey, but there's also a discussion about what do you do to salvage the water bodies so polluted. Do you just give them 10 years to recover, or do you need to use some sort of chemical solution to get the waters back? So Prof, thanks for joining us. Is this even a useful debate to be having a conversation about whether we can use chemicals to cleanse water so polluted by Galamsey? Is this a good debate? Maybe let me start from there. Is this a good debate to be having?
Well, you debate on matters which are debatable, and this is not a debatable topic. You have to use the science. You have to use the science to justify whatever actions we as a nation are going to take. All things need to be tested, field trialed, and you take the best as appropriate. So this is not another talk shop that we should be doing. We should be actually working on the way forward in getting a real solution. I am not a fan of adding more chemicals to the nets we have, because yes, we may get a situation where, chemically speaking, we have decontaminated, and I prefer decontaminate rather than dechemicalize, and remove the heavy metals and some of the other pollutants from the water. But it's not just getting water that is fit to drink. And even that itself, the methodology we need is debatable. In that, should Ghana Water Company treat water using more chemicals and more what they call biologicals and things to get water of suitable standard, and who should pay for it? I think that we, the public, those people who are using the water, need to do that payment, because if our water bills go up by 600% as a result of the pollution caused by the Galamsey people, then I think we'll sit up. But fundamentally, I think the approach we should be using is stopping it at source. It's like in the health sector, if you do preventive care, it's much, much cheaper, much more effective than doing emergency care or intensive care. So let's try and stop the source of the Galamsey. That is what drives people to do Galamsey. And it's poverty and greed.
All right, now, based on what you know about some of the water bodies and their various levels of pollution, let's assume all Galamsey ended 31st December 2025. How long do you think it will take without any chemical intervention for us to get good water? So my question is twofold. Is there a length of time it will take if the water is just left unpolluted? Is it possible that the water will regain its own natural state, or would have to still use some chemicals to bring it back to drinkable levels?
Well, remember, for drinking water, we already use chemicals. Normally, they use ferrous ammonium sulfate, and even the people in the communities affected by polluted Galamsey water, they add ferrous ammonium sulfate, alum, to the water to get the sediment out. Now, remember, ferrous means iron, and the quantities of alum they're adding to some of these waters are themselves not something which we should write home about. And they use this to cook food and sell. Now, the other part of your question, how long does it take for a river to recover? We have what we know as is known as a self-purification of water. That if you do leave water alone for some time without disturbance, it will gradually heal itself. Unfortunately, because of the environmental degradation around the rivers and the water bodies, we are going to have a contamination from those degraded areas entering the water for a long time unless we fix it. And for me, I would always go by what they call nature-based solutions. We use a nature-based solution to solve the problem rather than adding more chemicals, which we don't produce, which means we're going to have to buy and import. And I'm not against non-green solutions, but we need to make sure that the non-green solution is not going to cause more problems for us in the future. Now, we just talked about drinking water and drinking water quality. But our rivers are more than just places where we draw water to drink. We have a whole ecosystem, freshwater ecosystem, tied to the rivers and tied to the lakes and so forth, which have ecosystem benefits to us. So we have the fauna that we actually eat, the crabs, the fish, and so forth. But we also have things like dragonflies. A single dragonfly can eat up to 1,000 mosquitoes a day. That is pest control. So when you add, you remarked earlier on the program, what is the cost of Galamsey? We don't know what the true cost of Galamsey is on Ghana in terms of what we have to spend in terms of additional health care, the fact that we've lost a generation of school children who don't attend school. We have lost cocoa farms. We've lost maize production. We've lost so many things as a result of this that when you total it and balance it against the amount of gold that has been recovered, the balance is not in favor of gold. Yeah.
We'll leave it here for now. Thanks, Professor Chris Gordon. Always good talking to you. Prof is an environmental scientist bringing more insight into the discussion around how to salvage our water bodies.